Hello everyone, this is John from RPGs and More, and in today's video, we're going to create a character for the Prince Valiant storytelling game. And this is going to be the character that I intend to use for the first example of play / solo play session that I want to run for this channel using the bare bones setting that we have created in the Building the Sandbox series. So first things first, the tools that I'm going to use today. I've got a notebook that I found at a local Ross store. That's a kind of a chain of stores in the United States that tends to sell overstocked items at a discount. I think that's how that works. And the ones that I've been to happen to have pretty neat little sections where you can pick up journals and notebooks and art books and things like that at a reduced price. And I was able to get this nice kind of dragon scale looking red leather notebook that is, it says Italian leather, genuine Italian leather on this little tag on the back. I was able to get it for a very reasonable price. And I thought that the red is perfect for Prince Valiant because so many of the books that were published for Prince Valiant had red covers. And also the dragon scales, or crocodile scales really, are kind of appropriate because that's one of the big monsters that he faced down during his adventuring career. So maybe this could be prophetic and my character might also face down a dragon. Who knows? Anyway, so we're using that. Pencil. I have also already inked in a character sheet on the first page using the character sheet card template that's in the main rulebook as my template, of course. So that's the one set of things we're going to be using. Now, we are not going to use the randomized character creation systems that I talked about in my house rules. Not this time. This time we're doing it by the book. So I don't actually need any coins or dice in order to create this character. I am, however, getting a cat. Well done, Stark. So the next thing that you're going to need, of course, is your pencil. And after that, you will also need the rulebook, which I happen to have right over here. And for those that are new to this, those that maybe are joining us for the first time or have joined us more recently and missed the beginning of the 18 video, or probably 20 video long at this point, series that I've done about the Prince Valiant storytelling game, here's a brief reintroduction to this. This is a role-playing game that was written by Greg Stafford. Greg Stafford is a RPG author who has worked with a publishing company called Chaosium for a very long time. Now, Greg Stafford is sadly no longer with us. But during his lifetime, he provided such joy to the RPG community, primarily through his publication of the rule system Pendragon. And Pendragon is in its 6th edition now, I think, if I remember correctly. And it is a system dedicated to role-playing in the England of King Arthur in a very much more serious tone than takes place within the Prince Valiant storytelling game on average. It also is concerned with generational storytelling and kind of builds that into the campaign where you play your character and then you play your character's children and then you play your character's grandchildren as you kind of play through the entire Arthurian campaign. But we're not worrying about that right now. We're worried about the Prince Valiant storytelling game. So this is written by Greg Stafford. And as you might be able to tell, those of you who are paying attention to the art, it is highly inspired by the Prince Valiant comic, which was originally released in America and began its run in 1937 and is actually still running today, albeit different authors and artists than originally. Originally, it was written and drawn by Hal Foster. Hal Foster, of course, his name is right there in the art, is a phenomenal artist that, if I remember correctly, primarily worked with kind of like wood burning art at first, and then kind of moved on into the pen and paper art, and had to evolve his art style as the technology and the styles of the world changed. We're talking, see, he got his start in 1937. I want you to think about that one. That means that the first issue of Prince Valiant predates World War II, at least World War II as Americans know it, because World War II didn't start in earnest until around 1938, 1939. So there was at least a year away from the actual kickoff of World War II. So this is a man who started this work, and it wasn't even his first work. He did a Tarzan comic before that. But he started this work right at that pivotal point in history, in European history and American history, right at that pivotal point when things were just getting bad enough to soon kick off war. And he wrote this comic continuously, all throughout the years that followed, only stopping in, I think, the 70s is when he finally stopped. I am not a scholar on Hal Foster. I am slowly getting to know the rest of his work and learning about it. And that might be something I'd do in another series of videos. If there's interest, I might see if I can get away with reading and describing the Prince Valiant comic to people, since I know that not everyone, if I were to try to show it on the screen, A, I'd get copyright struck for showing off too much art and the story and everything. And B, a lot of the audience that I would like to appeal to may not necessarily be able to see what is being shown, but I'm thinking about describing the pictures. Thus, you're also getting my reaction to the story and the art, and then we can have a short analysis after each comic. If that's something that you might be interested in, please leave a comment down below to let me know that this is something I can look into doing, or if you would rather I stick with just the RPG stuff, you can also leave that comment down below, and I will listen to what it is that people kind of seem to be most interested in. But that's what the Prince Valiant storytelling game is. This particular version of the game is the reprint that was done about 2017 by Nocturne Publishing, and they did a Kickstarter for it. I did not back that Kickstarter, much to my chagrin. At the time, I was not as deeply interested in Prince Valiant as I was in subsequent years, and was a little low on money to begin with. But I have since fixed that and have managed to pick up almost everything that was available in the Kickstarter and have it on my own shelf. Now, so this book is the reprint. It showcases Hal Foster's art in beautiful color, full color, all throughout the entire book. Gorgeous. The previous edition of the game had color art in the front and the back cover, and then everything else in the interior was black and white, which is also nice and looked good, but was not necessarily as Hal Foster had intended it when he originally drew those pieces. So that's one of the reasons why, as much as I enjoy the older version, I will be using this one to show off when I'm playing the game. So that out of the way, now people know that this is a game by Greg Stafford and illustrated posthumously by Hal Foster. Okay, we're going to get into character creation. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do some advanced character creation. So it's going to take a little bit. It's not going to be as fast. If you do a standard quick character creation where you're just making a knight, then you can get this done in probably 10 minutes. But we're going to do the advanced character creation because I want to show you the whole process from start to finish. All right. So the first thing that we need to do, we're going to go down our steps here. And hopefully my cat will not disturb everything as he's sitting very nicely on my lap, by the way. He's being a very good boy. I think he's cold. All right. So I've got a name and then the fame. And for the fame, we're going to write down... Oh, somebody didn't like a dangly bit. We're going to write down 500 because this character is not a knight. So they're starting at 500 fame. Their occupation, I think that I'm going to start this character off as a man-at-arms. And that means that he is someone who is trained in combat. He knows how to fight and he knows how to ride. But he's not necessarily since he's not a knight, he's not already established in the social structure of knighthood and nobility. So he's probably, I see him as a bit more of a common man, sort of a young adventurer. Someone who dreams of knighthood, would like to be knighted, wants to bridge that gap from being a common man, I'll bet, slightly above the average because he is already a man-at-arms, respected, and outranks most foot soldiers, but he is not a knight, and he knows it. So I don't really have a description yet, but for brawn and presence, we need to decide what numbers those are. Now, we have a total of 7 points to spend between brawn and presence. I'm thinking that this is a young man who he's very strong. I see him as a strong young man, but right now, he's not exactly... He doesn't exactly have a strong presence because he's still a young, callow youth. He needs to kind of mature a bit more before he can fully kind of throw his mental presence around. So I'm going to give him a low presence right now with the thought that as time goes on, if I play this character long term, I could potentially see that presence get raised up using the advanced rules to raise presence. All right, so for right now, we're going to go with 5 brawn and 2 presence. All right, for skills, we're going to have 9 skill points that we can spread amongst the skills, but we have to have at least 6 skills. So I'm going to start us off with riding and arms. So arms first. And let's make that arms skill a 3, because 3 is kind of someone who's really fairly well trained. Arms 3, riding 2, because this young man is not quite as exposed to horses as, say, a knight of his same age would have been, but he has done some riding in the past. Okay, and then fellowship is another good skill. I'll give him a 1 with fellowship. He won't have any courtesy because he hasn't quite learned courtly courtesy yet. He's still very much of the common folk. So we need 3 more skills. So let's give him an agility. Of 1. And then let's see, what other skills? Now I'm going to refer to the book to go over the skill list again to make sure that I'm not missing anything that I'm going to suddenly be, oh no, that was incredibly important, and how could I, miss it? All right, basic skills: archery, arms, battle, brawling, courtesy, dexterity. Fellowship, glamour, healing, hunting, jousting, oratory, riding. So I'm thinking that we can put our last 2 points, one in hunting and the other in dexterity. Okay. Following that, we need to record our character's possessions. So to do that, we're going to go to the advanced storytelling section that describes the possessions of our characters. Too far. Right, he starts with light armor, a normal weapon, a normal riding horse. So light armor, I picture that as he probably has a stout gambeson and a shield and maybe a nice helmet. Light armor, a weapon, so a sword. And a riding horse, a normal riding horse. I'm just going to put riding horse right now. Okay, and then what other possessions would you have started with? We'll go back to our book here. A lance, decent clothing, and 25 silver coins. All right, so now each of these things gives us a 1 for their respective pools. All right, and then from there, we also create our combat pools. So melee, for melee, this character, he starts with a brawn of 5, an arm skill of 3, so 5, 6, 7, 8, plus his light armor, 9. So light armor of 1, which brings up to 9. Sword of 1 brings it to 10. And that's it. So melee is 10. If he's mounted and passes a ride check, then it would be 11. And if he's charging with his lance, then it would be, actually, so that mounted would be 12, assuming we're using the lance as well. No, still 11, because the lance is used instead of the sword. And then it would become 13 if he's charging. Okay, so now we're going to give him a name. And I think that we will name this character, you know what? This will be Sir John. Nope, not Sir, just John. John Osham. O'Shan. O'Shannon. There we go. John O'Shannon. And for his description, he is, well, he's a burly young man. Who dreams of becoming a knight. A knight of the Round Table. All right, and that is our completed character shown here. There's one other step for making an advanced character, and that step is traits. But there's one interesting thing I remembered about traits. After reading through the section again and thinking about it, I was considering how I wanted to cover traits for this channel. And the advice that is given is that your traits are something that you should keep secret from your fellow players, something that you should write on the back of your character card and only show to the storyteller when you are trying to justify getting points for those traits at the end of an adventure. I'm thinking, to simulate that, I will pick traits off camera and assign them to my character, and at least for the first adventure, you won't know anything about this character's traits. And then we will go over how that works at the end of the first adventure. Hopefully that makes sense. I hope that everyone could follow along. I know I wasn't able to put up the character sheet alongside the camera to show you step by step what I was writing down, but I did try to describe what I was writing down and go through that process with you as much as I could with my very simple setup. I hope everyone could see the screen well enough when I did show what I was going through. If you could not, or if I didn't hold it up long enough, let me know, and I can try to remedy that for future videos if I want to show those details again. Thank you all for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and peace be with you all. Stay tuned for the upcoming adventures of Sir John O'Shannon. No, of John O'Shannon, man-at-arms who dreams of being Sir John. Peace be with you all. Bye-bye now.